Over the years, the NBA has evolved into more than just a sports league. It has become a cultural force whose reach now expands the entire globe. And suffice to say, it is the stars themselves that have catapulted the league to where it is today. But it is also true that there can only be one best player from each season, one star that stands out above the rest. So exactly who is the best NBA player from each season, you ask? Well, that's precisely what we'll be looking at today, so join us as we trek down memory lane to determine who is the GOAT of every NBA season. And to start this list, we want to go back to the 1999-2000 season when it was no question that Shaquille O'Neal was the best and most dominant player in the league. He went on to win League MVP, his first championship, and his first Finals MVP, but we know being the GOAT is not about that. Shaq was just physically more dominant than any other big man at the time. It truly looked like a man against boys for the Diesel in 2000. His finals performance against Indiana is just the cherry on top to this argument, averaging 38 points, 17 rebounds, and 3 blocks. And heading into the 2001 season is more of the same with Shaq as the best player in the league. You can give a very respectable nod to Allen Iverson, who was having an out-of-body experience in 2001, winning League MVP among many of his other accolades at the time. But when it came down to it, yes, for 2 straight seasons, Shaq was unlike any physical specimen that the league had ever seen. A body that big, moving with such agility, yet so much force. It was certainly a sight to behold, leaving defenses helpless along the way. Shaq went on to lead his 0-1 Lakers to an improbable 15-1 playoff record, cementing them as one of the best teams ever. And by the next season in 2002, Shaq was still a dominant presence offensively, but there was another big man that was doing it a completely different way. Yes, in 2002, Tim Duncan would take the crown as GOAT of the league from Shaq. Different from Shaq, Duncan was quiet, reserved, no nonsense, but most importantly, he was doing it on both sides of the ball. As automatic as Duncan was in the low post, he was just as dominant defensively as well. Remember, this era was the golden age of generational power forwards, with Kevin Garnett, Chris Webber, and Rasheed Wallace, just to name a few, but the big fundamental was far and away the best of them all. And Duncan continued the standard of excellence as the best basketball player in the world into the 2003 season as well. After defeating Shaq and Kobe in the 2003 playoffs, he finally got that Laker monkey off his back and was firmly enjoying his time at the top. Recognized as the league's top talent, winning back-to-back MVPs in 02 and 03, Duncan was having a special 2003 regular season, which bled into the playoffs and finals. In these finals in particular, Duncan proceeded to dominate the New Jersey Nets, averaging 24 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. In a league that still favored big men, for the second straight season, Tim Duncan was looking like the best two-way force at his position. That is until 2004, when Kevin Garnett burst onto the scene, claiming his crown as not only best power forward, but the best all-around player in the game at the time. Garnett's versatility allowed him to leapfrog Duncan defensively, making him a terror both in the inside as well as out on the perimeter as well. And as soon as he even got a semblance of help in Minnesota with the addition of Sam Cassell and Latrell Sprewell, he elevated his team's play and his play, averaging 24 points and 14 rebounds, and a passionate one at that. His versatility at 6'11" was truly a sight to behold, and he was leading his retooled Timberwolves team in the highly competitive Western Conference, which included the San Antonio Spurs and the Phoenix Suns. With that said, come 2005, the leader of these Phoenix Suns would usurp KG's title as NBA's best, because this was certainly the year of Steve Nash. Though he lacked the physical stature, defensive prowess, and overall mystique of some of the previous NBA's bests, he made up for it with authenticity and creativity, as he led the ultra-fast, up-tempo style of basketball in Phoenix that would define the generation for years and years to come. Yes, it was this year in which Steve Nash and his Phoenix Suns introduced the world to the 7 seconds or less offense, and no one was able to figure them out. He would go on to win League MVP, and in the following year, 2006, he actually won for a second straight season. But that 2006 MVP was controversial because clearly the best player on the planet was officially Kobe Bryant. Yes, 2006 was the beginning of the Black Mamba's reign as the NBA's best, as Kobe would put together a ridiculous string of individual performances. Let's name just a few, being scoring 62 points in 3 quarters against Dallas, torching Toronto for 81 points, as well as a collection of consecutive 40-point games this season, as if it was so easy to put up 40 in the NBA at the time. Yes, there were better teams than his Lakers that would make it further into the playoffs, but if you dropped Kobe in any of those teams in 2006, those teams would have been crowned champions, no question about it. But like Kobe, there was another superstar whose surrounding cast wasn't talented, but unlike Kobe, he would go surprisingly deep into the postseason in 2007. Yes, for this one season, 22-year-old LeBron James stole the GOAT title from Kobe in 2007. In this year, LeBron took his very mediocre Cavs team to the NBA Finals, and on this unprecedented journey to the top, LeBron had to get past the gritty Detroit Pistons, who were still a nightmare defensively at the time. En route to getting past Detroit, LeBron put together arguably the greatest postseason performance until 2012, which we'll get to later, in Game 5, where he logged 48 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists, which also included 25 straight in the fourth quarter. He was an unstoppable force in this series, able to carry an inferior roster all the way to the championship round, and it looked like Kobe's reign at the top would be short-lived because of the arrival of LeBron James. But that wasn't the case, as Kobe took this crown back emphatically in 2008. He put together not just a great individual year, but his performance translated into winning basketball. The acquisition of Pau Gasol midway through 2008 also helped, as 2008 saw Kobe win league MVP and his Lakers made it all the way to the NBA Finals in a matchup against the rival Boston Celtics. Though Kobe would lose that series in 6, it was to the historic Boston Big Three, headlined by Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce, and probably one of the best defenses ever assembled. At the end of this season, it was crystal clear. Boston may have had the best team, but Kobe was the best singular talent. This 2008 finals loss fueled the Black Mamba more than any other moment in his legendary 20-year career, as he would return in 2009 as not only the best player in the game, but also the most motivated he'd ever been. In already his 13th year in the league at that point, Kobe bulldozed his Lakers to the best record in the West, to their second straight finals appearance, this time against the Orlando Magic, who had beaten Boston in the semifinals. And in these finals, Kobe manhandled the inexperienced Magic in 5 games to win his 4th championship and his first without Shaq. Thankfully for Kobe fans, this level of play did not wane for the Black Mamba after 2009. In fact, it only deepened the following season. You see, Kobe still had to avenge his 2008 finals loss against Boston, so as long as Boston was still in the hunt, so was Kobe. And so, much like in 2009, 2010 still saw Kobe as the NBA's best. This year saw Kobe truly establish himself, if he hadn't been already, among his other accolades, as the most clutch player in basketball. He would connect on 6 game-winning buzzer beaters this season, let alone countless other timely baskets with a minute or 2 left in regulation. In the end, Kobe would get his opportunity to avenge 2008 when he faced off against Boston in the 2010 finals, but this time, Kobe did not disappoint. He finished off Boston in an epic 7-game clash, collecting his 5th championship as well as his 2nd consecutive Finals MVP award. Eventually though, all good runs must come to an end, and by the time the 2011 season kicked off, the entire league was ready for LeBron James to take on the mantle as the NBA's GOAT for good. But it wasn't his time just yet, as 2011 was actually the year of Dirk Nowitzki. For his standards as a 12-year veteran, he didn't have a phenomenal regular season, but what he did in the playoffs when it mattered the most put him over the top. His 2011 playoff run is historic and arguably the greatest in league history. He had to get by Kobe and Gasol's Lakers, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden's OKC Thunder, and even the first year of the Miami Heat Big Three with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. It was the gauntlet of a journey for the one-legged fadeaway master, and 2011 is where it all came together for him. But by the following season, Dirk wouldn't repeat his masterpiece in 2011, Kobe was beginning his sunset, and now we are finally entrenched in the multi-year reign of one LeBron James. In 2012, it all came together for the King. It goes beyond his stats, because at this point, LeBron was basically a walking 27-point, 7-rebound, and 7-assist performer. But what got him over the top this season is that he performed at his best when it mattered the most. And none more important than in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals against a still dominant Boston Celtics. To avoid elimination down 3-2, LeBron put together the single best individual playoff performance in NBA history, outdoing his previous best in 2007 against Detroit by scoring 45 points and 15 rebounds in Boston in a must-win situation. Must win not just for the series, but for LeBron's entire legacy. If he failed in year 2 of the Miami Heat Big 3, it would have been over for not only Miami, but LeBron. It was in this moment LeBron not only showed that he was the best, but he officially stamped it into existence. And there was no stopping King James as we headed into 2013, as he would still firmly hold the title of League's GOAT. 2013 is arguably LeBron's apex as a performer over his illustrious career, as he won another set of back-to-back MVPs and led the Heat to a 27-game winning streak, the second longest in NBA history. But more importantly than all of that, he escaped the San Antonio Spurs to capture his second straight NBA championship and Finals MVP. And not to sound like a broken record, but we meant it when we said we were firmly entrenched in the multi-year reign of one LeBron James, because in 2014, he was still the GOAT. On both ends of the floor, LeBron was exerting his power and size over his opponents in a way that no one in the league had ever done. He would overpower you, outthink you, and outjump you. His talent was as undeniable as it was unique, and at that time, we wondered if we would ever come across a more unique and special talent as this. Well, that is until the very next season, when the basketball world was introduced to someone even more unique in his own right. Yes, 2015 was the start of the Golden State Warriors and the unimaginable shooting from the baby-faced assassin Steph Curry. Much like his point guard counterpart 10 years ago in Steve Nash, what Steph lacked in height, physical stature, and athleticism, Steph more than made up for with exceptional ball handling, effortless charisma, and unbelievable accuracy from deep. No question about it, Steph has cemented himself as the greatest shooter of all time, and 2015 was his true coming out party. After winning his first league MVP, Curry will go on to lead a talented young nucleus to the franchise's first championship in 40 years. And Steph and these Warriors looked like they were just getting started, because in the following year in 2016, he would go on a historic record-breaking run. Steph broke the single-season three-pointers made record with 402. He led his team to the best ever regular season record with 73 wins, and he became the first ever unanimous league MVP. And by Game 4 of the NBA Finals, Steph pretty much had the GOAT title wrapped up for a second straight year. That is, until LeBron, like a thief in the night, ripped away Golden State's soul by winning the next 3 games of the finals to ruin a near-perfect season for Steph and the Warriors, deliver Cleveland his first ever major sports championship, and for the 4th time in his career, stand head and shoulders above the rest as the very best in the NBA this season. That's right, 2016 was the year LeBron not only reclaimed his position as GOAT of the league, but also ignited a furious debate regarding his status as the greatest player to ever lace them up. But LeBron couldn't rest on his throne for too long, as the league was experiencing an explosion of talent in the 2010s. In a surprising move before the 2017 season got underway, Kevin Durant signed with the Golden State Warriors to join Steph, Klay, Draymond, and the rest of the 73-9 crew. James Harden and Russell Westbrook were putting up triple-doubles like it was buy one, get one free at the local grocery store. But no one was as good as Kawhi Leonard in 2017. Sure, he didn't talk much, steal media headlines, or exude the natural charisma like the rest of the stars of his class, but he still pantomimed one hell of a mid-range game while being a pest on the defensive end as well. In 2017, he firmly stole the GOAT crown from LeBron as undoubtedly the best two-way force in the game. And as the playoffs got underway, his Spurs faced Golden State in the conference finals, and Kawhi took it to the star-studded Warriors, leading by 20 was just about halfway through the third quarter until Warrior center Zaza Pachulia pulled off one of the dirtiest plays ever by sneaking his foot under Kawhi's landing area while going up for 3. This sidelined Kawhi for the game, the rest of the series, and basically the rest of the following year. One of the most intriguing what-ifs in NBA history. If Kawhi had played the rest of this series, seeing how the first half of that game had already gone, it's not inconceivable that the best in the world at the time could have upset the best team ever assembled in 2017. Well, in any case, the rest of the league could complain all they want, but Golden State captured the championship that year, easily handling the Cleveland Cavaliers in 5 games. This Golden State team was an all-time great team, with so much talent up and down that roster, it looked like their dynasty would take us firmly into the 2020s. And by 2018, it was the same dominance from these Warriors, and the most talented on the team, at least in 2018, was Kevin Durant. His combination of length, pure shooting, and ball handling makes him one of the greatest offensive talents in NBA history. His career almost mirrored that of LeBron, which is why he doesn't have as many GOAT titles for as gifted a talent he was, but in 2018, it was definitely his. These Warriors swept the Cavs in the finals to secure a back-to-back championship, and KD secured back-to-back finals MVPs, elevating his status as one of the greats the game has ever seen. Coming off another ring, KD signed an extension with the Warriors in the offseason, and he was looking to stay GOATed for a second straight season in 2019. But in another surprising move around the league, right before the 2019 season kicked off, the Toronto Raptors traded for a now healthy Kawhi Leonard, who would steal the GOAT crown right back from KD this season. Yes, in 2019, in one of the most legacy-cementing accomplishments ever, in Kawhi's one and only season in Toronto, he delivered this franchise's first ever NBA championship. Kawhi's impact during these playoffs was undeniable. An efficient scorer, an elite defender, and a calm and cool leader under pressure. And sure, they faced an injury-laden Golden State team in the finals that year with KD dealing with a calf strain and then ultimately tearing his Achilles in Game 5. But it's almost poetic justice as he himself was injured just 2 years prior in 2017 against these same Warriors, obstructing his attempt at winning it all that year. All that said, Kawhi closed the decade as not just a champion, but as the best in the world. As the 2019 offseason got underway, the best in the world, Kawhi Leonard, decided 1 year up north was good enough, and he headed for warmer pastures in Los Angeles with the LA Clippers as he looked to revitalize this franchise. Unfortunately for Kawhi, and what has been the case for his entire career, injuries would derail this lofty ambition, which paved the way for a new star to rise and take the GOAT crown away. So, come the 2020 season, it would be the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, who would take this crown in devastating fashion. He led his team to the best record in the NBA, and he would be the first player since Hakeem Olajuwon in 1994 to win League MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season. For all the talk of Steph's unique abilities and LeBron's unique talent, Giannis was and still is, quite literally, a freak. Standing 6'11", his limbs stretch endlessly, much like the letters in his name. His strength mirrors that of a prime Shaq, punishing anyone who dare challenge him inside. And he plays with a passion a la Kevin Garnett, playing every possession as if it's his last. The 2020 season limped to the finish line in the Disney World bubble due to the 2020 coronavirus phenomenon, and Giannis and his Bucks came up short of the title. But as the 2021 season kicked off, Giannis remained the top player in the game, bulldozing his way through opponents and reached the NBA Finals for the first time in his career against the Phoenix Suns. In the closeout Game 6, Giannis put up 50 points and 17 rebounds to secure Milwaukee's first championship since 1974 and was named Finals MVP. With Giannis now champion, Nikola Jokic from Denver having won League MVP, and young standouts like Luka Doncic wowing crowds seemingly every night, it seemed like we were entering a new era of NBA basketball. But then, just as we were about ready to bid farewell to the likes of LeBron James and Kevin Durant, Steph Curry reappeared onto the scene looking as fresh as ever. Having returned from hand surgery the season prior, the chef was cooking in 2022 and took the title of NBA's GOAT this season. With KD officially out of town and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green not the same players from their championship runs, the 34-year-old assassin returned to MVP form. What he did in the regular season by his standards was pedestrian, but when the playoffs came, he turned it up, and by the time the finals came, he officially exploded. Capped off by a 43-point masterpiece in Boston for a critical Game 4. With Golden State down 2-1 in the series, Steph put the Warriors on his back and carried them to victory. If there was ever any doubt surrounding Steph's accomplishments during the KD Warriors era, he put all of that to bed, quite literally, in this series. Night-night. And as Steph was gracefully and poetically taking one final lap around the league, there was one lumbering big man in Denver who had been collecting MVPs for the past 2 seasons. And though he's probably the furthest one to care about any of these accomplishments, the league found it hard to ignore him. Yes, with the 2023 season officially underway, the league was firmly in the control of Nikola Jokic. Talk about unique talent. He's big and chunky but has a feathery touch around the rim. He's heavy-footed and fluffy, but seemingly grabs every rebound. And if that's not unique enough for you, well, he's the best passer of the basketball and he's 7 feet tall. That's right, Nikola Jokic had an unstoppable 2023. And if it wasn't for voters' fatigue, he probably would have secured his 3rd straight MVP in 2023. But again, he's the furthest one to care. He cares about rings, at least we think he does. In any case, the Joker would average a triple-double in these playoffs and literally put up video game numbers on a nightly basis. Stat lines of 30 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists were becoming rudimentary for the NBA's best. He ultimately would lead Denver to their first ever NBA championship and his first Finals MVP. And as the 2024 season got underway, it was much of the same from Jokic. The NBA's GOAT added another league MVP to his collection, and this year specifically, he was becoming one of the safest and surest hands in basketball. With any game in the balance, you throw the ball into Jokic and he finds a way to get it done. Unfortunately, Denver wouldn't make it to the finals this year, but that doesn't take anything away from Jokic. And this year in 2025, it's still Jokic. Despite an MVP campaign from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the OKC Thunder, Jokic is still the most dominant force the league has. He is a walking triple-double, literally. He officially averaged a triple-double in 2025, although he had been one assist shy the past 2 years. He's already a top 10 talent this game has ever seen, and although there is some stiff competition ready to take his throne, at least for one more year, it's still firmly in Jokic's grasp. There you have it, 2000 through 2025. And for those of you who are interested in keeping count, LeBron has 5 seasons, Kobe has 4, and Jokic already has 3. Following those 3, you have Shaq, you have Duncan, you have Steph, you have Giannis, and you have Kawhi with 2. And then rounding this list out, you have KD, you have KG, you have Nash, and you have Dirk with 1 apiece.